Hello world, I'm Chris Pirillo, and this is the Locker Gnome Daily Report, or TLDR for short, your daily dose of tech news, gadget views, and answers that you can use. Wow! Wow! That's right, as the title of this video suggests, I got a Surface Pro, a 128 gigger. In fact, I don't know if you watched the Pirillo vlog that we posted today in this very channel, but when I went to the mall to see if I could even get one, I was expecting lines. And granted, it wasn't too late in the day. I mean, it was late afternoon, early evening, but there were no lines. I mean, the Microsoft store, one of the busiest ones here in the Seattle area, had a lot of people in it. It's just that there were no lines. It was almost like a non-event. In fact, there was very little signage in general. You wouldn't know that Microsoft had just released that day the Surface Pro, which I've had in the box since launch, but I haven't opened it because I'm going to open it here live on YouTube, this very channel, not long after I record this video. Of course, by the time you watch this video, the live stream may have already happened, but do not worry. That video will be in this channel for you to watch at any point in time, even with the wild gesticulations that... Am I doing the Harlem Shake right now? Is that what's going on? This time around with the Surface, I got a touch cover, wanted a type cover, but this is really all they had in either red or magenta. I'm very much looking forward to trying Windows 8 on a Surface Pro. I appreciated the hardware, at least the design of the Surface RT, which Microsoft is officially calling it now, at least as far as the web page that I saw on Microsoft's site the other day. So I'm kind of already familiar with Windows 8 and kind of already familiar with the Surface RT, so I'm expecting the Surface Pro will be, well, just as much of a Windows 8 PC as anything else, just with the Surface shell. You know, it's not very wise for you to pass judgment on a device that you've never used, because you've never used it. I mean, you could guess, but, you know, really, it all kind of boils down to actually using something, trying something, and then judging it. I have no preconceived notions of what the Surface Pro experience will be, but I'm very much looking forward to trying it. It's kind of been difficult to have this thing sitting on my desk for the past couple of days because I got it over the weekend. That was launch day, February 9th, my brother Adam's birthday. He's Frojive on Twitter, if you care to say hello to him. He is not getting a Surface Pro. In fact, that's another thing I wanted to bring up today. It seems that they were sold out in a lot of locations, but many of those locations, the stores only had one or two in stock. So I am of the mindset, not to put my tinfoil hat on, because I don't have one. I put that tinfoil hat, though, on my Amazon wish list, if you want to get it for me. Just kidding. The idea that Microsoft had millions available on launch day, I think is outlandish, because a lot of experiences that users have reported from actually trying to get a Surface Pro. By the way, this is the 128 gig version, if I didn't mention that. Many people wanted that version over the 64 gig version for a lot of different reasons, including the footprint of the OS and default installed applications and experience. So Microsoft seemed to be holding back to make it look like increased demand. And yes, there has been some demand, but a lot of the discussion threads that I've seen, even from like hardcore geeks, people who use Windows in general, I mean, there's some excitement around the Surface Pro, but I think the Surface RT, well, I'm not going to go as far as to call it a fiasco, but let's just say, timeline, what's a better word to use for it, seemed to water down everybody's expectations, and really, I think, did more to hurt the Surface Pro, specifically, you know, right around launch, than it did to help. It didn't build buzz, it took it away. So, you know, Microsoft's got to do whatever they can to make it look like it's a device that people want. And I think people do want it, but I don't think as many people want it as, you know, Microsoft would want them to want it. You got to also remember that the Zune sold out, just like the Surface Pros apparently have sold out. Well, it's not hard to do when you only send out 12 units. I know they sent out more than 12 units. That was obviously a dramatic statement, but I think you guys get the idea. If you don't send out a lot of products to be purchased, well, it's a good chance that you're going to sell out the products that you do send out if you don't send out many of them. I'm very happy to have my Surface Pro, even happier to unbox it for you live on YouTube, and then immediately thereafter, I'm going to give you a hands-on with the Surface Pro. Those are actually going to be two different videos, and the reason I'm separating them is because some people get upset when I do an unboxing and then a hands-on in one. They're like, why is this video so long? I'm like, dude, really? If you didn't want to watch, don't watch. But hopefully, you will enjoy watching the rest of this video and the Surface Pro videos that I plan on doing, including, by the way, comparing this to a MacBook Air. Both of the systems are running on the Intel platform. That's one of the reasons why people have been waiting for the Surface Pro. I am an Intel fan, no doubt about it. A lot of my systems, all my Macs, run on Intel's processors and, you know, the whole Intel experience as far as the Macs are concerned. The idea, though, that you could compare a Surface Pro to an iPad, there's the iPad, I don't know if that's accurate. You could compare a Surface Pro to a MacBook Air, and I'm looking to work with Parallels to get a hold of one to review and do the comparison for. You can compare an iPad to a Surface RT because, well, not just because of price, but because of general experience and operating system limitations and strengths, the type of hardware it is. You know, the Surface is just at a point in this industry, or I should say, it's in a position where it doesn't really know what it wants to be. Is it a tablet? Is it a laptop? Is it a laplet? What is it? And so just keep that in mind. Surface RT can be compared to an iPad. A Surface Pro can be effectively compared to a MacBook Air, if only on price and specs. The experience, on the other hand, well, that's going to vary, even between the Surface RT and the Surface Pro. I am definitely not going to rush out and get another Surface RT. That was fun the first time. Fun. The links, by the way, to where you could have watched those videos live are in this video's description, as well as a link to this Q&A questioning Office 365. Do I need it? I've got a question to throw back to the community. Have you picked up Office 365? I have not yet. I might at a point in the future when maybe they release a version of Office for the iPad or iOS devices in general, since I have many of those on me at any given time. I do use Windows machines, certainly, but have not found myself all that reliant on Office. I'm a huge Google Docs fan. I mean, like, I'm not the biggest Google Docs fan, like, ever. I don't, like, wear t-shirts and hats and everything like that. But I appreciate Google Docs. It's very simple, clean, easy, cross-platform, and I also appreciate the cost. Now, that's not to say that Office 365 is the equivalent of Google Docs or Google Drive and SkyDrive in conjunction with Office 365, because there are certainly differences between the two services. And in fact, I've gone as far as to say, and you might remember from an earlier TLDR, that paying about $100 a year for an Office 365 subscription to get access to it on up to 5 machines, I think it's a good deal if you love Office, if you need to use Office applications. But I don't find the need to use Office applications other than when someone sends me an Office document that I can't import into Google Drive or can't view on any one of my devices. If you have $100 to spend every year, discretionary income, and you need the things that Office delivers, well, then yeah, I think you would like Office 365, to reiterate an earlier suggestion that I made. But that doesn't mean that everybody needs Office. I'm sorry to say that to Microsoft. Hey Chris, when are you going to shave that mustache? To call this thing a mustache is giving it more credit than it deserves. Trust me, it's annoying me as much as it's annoying you, but it's kind of fun to grow out every once in a while. I even have a soul patch, which doesn't mean that I have a soul, because we all know I sold that to a company years ago. Google! You thought I was going to say Apple, didn't you? Well, I certainly wasn't going to say Microsoft. And thank God for that, because their stock's been flatlined for, let's see here, going on almost a decade now? Of course I kid. I have plenty of Microsoft products. All of my entertainment consoles are Xbox 360s. I intend on upgrading to the next Xbox when Microsoft releases them. Microsoft does some really cool stuff. It just doesn't mean that I like everything they do. Of course, I don't like everything Apple does. And I certainly don't like everything Google does. Let's see here. Apple, Google, Microsoft. Who am I missing? Amazon. I've spent more money with Amazon than I have any of the others. Oh, I did this for you! Are you happy? Another Q&A that came in. Why is the gaming industry still using optical media? Technology, as quickly as it advances, doesn't advance all that quickly. Consider all the infrastructure that's out there. The ability to stamp discs may cost substantially less than throwing out USB drives. But be sure to hold on to your VHS copy of Computer Basics that I recorded years ago right after the release of Windows XP. And while we're on the subject, you might want to upgrade from Windows XP while you're at it. I'm not sure if you caught this image on LockerGnome.net, but someone has designed a PC case built entirely out of Lego bricks. And he did a pretty good job. I'd buy that. Well, looks like an old rumor is spinning up again. Allegedly, Apple may be working on a wristwatch, which I'm obviously not wearing right now. By the way, this hoodie is not from StaticStuff.com, and the 50th person to order something from StaticStuff.com to use my name in the comments field, well, we'll be able to do a Google Plus Hangout together and talk, like you and me. I don't do that with everybody, not even my family. Our question of the day is brought to you by GoDaddy.com. If you want to save money on anything you get from GoDaddy, just email me first, chris@Pirillo.com. I will send you my latest list of coupons. Solid Safety 2 asks, what is a domain? I've heard people talk about domains, and he's heard me talk about them too, but he didn't know what a domain is. Well, a domain is something like LockerGnome.com, YouTube.com, Twitter.com. It's a word that's associated with a website, usually. And that doesn't mean that domain names are only reserved for websites. It's just that when you go to your web browser, instead of typing in a string of numbers, either IP4 or IPv6, the ability to jump directly to a website is easier if you're using a word rather than a string of numbers. My domain is the only one that exists with that name. Only one person can have LockerGnome.com. And if you were watching this weekend, you probably saw some wacky things happening on LockerGnome.com because our DNS settings kind of got borked, but are hopefully fixed by now. Hopefully that puts a finer point on it. And even if you don't have a domain, we appreciate you living in our domain right here, liking and sharing the things we're doing for you every day. Thank you for being such a wonderful person. I'm just saying you're a good person to know. We'll see you later.